Welcome to Gaming Wildlife, my name is Ian, and I have a question for you guys. Are the Resident Evil games horror games? The reason I'm bringing this topic up is because of Resident Evil 7, and it looks really scary, it looks really good, it looks really not at all like a Resident Evil game. See, the big element of the survival horror games was that you had to survive. You could try and shoot down a zombie, or you could just run around them when they try and attack you. That way you could save those bullets for a later enemy. I feel as though there's one thing missing from all of the trailers and the demo that I've seen that has been prevalent in every other Resident Evil game up until now, and that is humor. And they kept this theme throughout the games. In Resident Evil 1, you have scary zombies you have to fight, and mutants and monsters and all that. They kept that for 2 and 3, and even the remake and Resident Evil 0. When Resident Evil 4 came around, they changed the genre to a survival action game, with horror still being there, but once again, it's a very small part. The action itself was now at the forefront. You had an over-the-shoulder camera instead of fixed camera angles constantly changing. You had an arsenal of weapons that could mow down a bunch of zombies, and you usually had to fight off hordes of monsters now. And this change caused the game to become a whole lot more popular, as the sales of Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6 were much higher than its predecessors. I feel like there's one scene that captures the entire Resident Evil series perfectly, and that scene is from the director's cut of the original Resident Evil game.
No! Don't go!
And really, this is what Resident Evil is. A bad 80s horror film, but the developers take it seriously. And that's hilarious. These characters are stupid cardboard cutouts of what Japanese developers probably think tough American guys look like. Everything in this is so silly, but that's kind of its charm. You're not really supposed to take it seriously. That game also gave us such iconic moments as this.
That was too close. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
That game also had this line.
What? Don't come this way! No!
Take a look at Albert Wesker, a recurring villain in the game. He wears sunglasses at night, never takes them off, ever. Even when he's fighting you over a dormant volcano as a giant mutated version of himself. Take a look at Chris Redfield. His bicep is the size of his head. The first time we're introduced to Sheva Alomar, we see her ass first. We're not supposed to take this game seriously, and I thought the developers knew that. But then the problem is, when I'm looking at Resident Evil 7, I just don't see anything that makes me laugh. From the Resident Evil 7 trailer, the scene with the family looks like something that Frictional would do, but not necessarily something that Capcom would do. Walking around the house feels like something from Outlast, but this shouldn't be Outlast. This should be Resident Evil. It should be silly, it should be comical, and it should be trying to be a survival horror game and failing miserably. This looks like it's trying to be a survival horror game and succeeding. And the sad thing is, people are probably going to like it. I played the demo all the way through. I was able to get 2 of the final endings. There might be more, but that's what I was able to get. And it's good. It's a good horror game. I just don't feel like it should be Resident Evil. And seriously, to anyone who's watching this, go play Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2. It's the best of Resident Evil 4 with Resident Evil Remake. Over-the-shoulder action with tight claustrophobic environments. They're really good. And if Resident Evil 7 ends up being over-the-top comical and a lot like the other games, then you know what? I'll take this back. I'll eat my words. But from what we've seen so far, I don't think that's what we're gonna get. Hey, if you liked this video, go over to patreon.com/gamingwildlife and help us out. I'm gonna leave you guys with a question. What's your favorite Resident Evil game? And what's your least favorite Resident Evil game? And feel free to write in the comments why you think one works better than the other.